Hey there, I'm Chastity. Welcome back to another yoga practice. So this practice today is called Yinhale Yexhale. It's a yin movement kind of combined class. So a couple of things that you might want to have are 2 blocks, a couple of blankets, and maybe even a couple of pillows. If you don't have any of those, it's perfectly fine. You don't actually need them in class. They are just helpful to kind of help you to get into poses a little deeper and to enhance your practice a little bit more. But don't worry if you don't have them, you don't need them. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and start. We're actually going to start in Shavasana today. So grab any props that you think you might want or need, and let's make our way onto our backs. So coming onto our backs, nice easy Shavasana. Legs out wide, feet flop out, palms facing up. Now as you're here, just start to snuggle the shoulder blades underneath you just a little bit. So you kind of create this illusion in your body that your chest is kind of puffing up towards the ceiling a little bit. And then I want you to soften your chin down towards your chest so you relax the muscles in your neck. If you'd like to rest your head onto a pillow or a blanket, you can do so. If you have any tension in your lower back when you lay in Shavasana, you can always place a pillow underneath your knees. Good, so just resting here. Let's go ahead and close the eyes. Let's sort of draw our awareness and our attention inwards. So by closing the eyes, we can just kind of cut ourselves off from whatever's happening around us a little bit. And really start to focus on what's going on inside. Noticing our breath, seeing if we can drop into our breath a little bit more. And really, that just means allowing yourself the space to breathe, giving yourself permission to breathe deeply, expanding the belly, expanding the lungs. Just giving yourself that permission that you need to take in a really big inhale and to really let go on your exhale. And just here for a few more breaths. You can stay here in a traditional Shavasana, or I'm going to offer up the variation to reach your arms overhead and grab opposite elbows. Your arms are still on the mat, they're just over the crown of your head, and you have opposite elbows. Now if you're taking this variation, still make sure that your shoulders are not creeping up into your ears. Give your neck and your ears the space to breathe. And then I really want you to focus on breathing into your belly. So really focusing on breathing with our diaphragm. A lot of us are chest breathers, meaning that we breathe into the chest and not necessarily our diaphragm. So just focus on expanding through the belly, really balloon up your belly. And then as you exhale, really allow all of the breath to leave the belly. So you almost feel that your lower back could press a little deeper into the mat because you're allowing all of your breath on your exhale to leave the body. You might even notice that at the bottom of your exhale, your abdominal muscles start to engage a little bit. And you're not necessarily forcing your breath, but you're just sort of giving space to the full extension of your breath. So just kind of experimenting. How deep can you actually inhale? How much can you fill up your belly and your lungs? And then how long can you exhale? Let's start to bring our legs together here. we're going to move into something called banana asana. So just like it sounds, you're just making a banana with your body. What I want you to start with is start to move your feet and your legs over towards the left as much as you can, but you want to keep your right sits bones rooted down. So keep your right butt cheek down. Maybe you want to cross the right ankle over the left ankle to go a little deeper. To go further, you're going to do the same thing with your torso. You're going to start to creep the torso over to the left as much as you can, making a banana shape with your body, but keeping the right sit bone rooted down. If you feel any pinching or discomfort here, you can always bend your knees and place your feet down onto the floor, just like this. Okay, otherwise the legs are straight, maybe crossing the ankles. Good. Now as you're here, sometimes it's helpful for the neck to kind of look diagonally up towards the right corner. So just sort of tilting your head over to the right and then looking up at a diagonal. Good. Now keep experimenting with your breath. Full inhales, long exhales. Depending on how tight your side body is, you might feel this in the outer right thigh, the outer right hip, maybe even into the right side waist. And if you're really tight, you might even start to feel it in towards the right armpit. So whatever sensation may be arising, just breathe into it. Know that you can always modify this pose or come out of it completely. Just here for a couple more breaths. Maybe see if you can go a little further to the left. Create that banana shape a little bit more through the body. You might even start to feel this in your left oblique, so the left side of your abdominals. I know that for me in this pose, I definitely feel this in my left oblique. Let's take one more big breath in. And as you exhale, you're slowly going to bring the body back to neutral, coming back into that shavasana with the arms overhead, uncrossing the feet if they're crossed. And just finding that neutral spine again. Good. And then if the arms are overhead, I just want you to switch the cross so your opposite forearm is on top. Good. And then moving slowly into this pose, start by moving your legs and your feet over to the right as much as you can, keeping your left sit bone down, rooted down. Maybe cross the left ankle over the right. Maybe you want to stay here, maybe this is enough. Or now we start to scoot our torso over to the right as much as we can, creating that banana in the body. And again, if this is too much, you can always bend your knees here and place your feet down. Okay? So just finding what feels good for your body. And each side is a little different, so maybe you need something a little more modified on one side, and that's okay. And we just want to keep our breath full and deep. We want to keep the left sit bone rooted down. And then start to turn your gaze to the left and then look up on a diagonal. Maybe keep the eyes closed. And if it ever becomes too much, you can always come out of it, or again, just bend your knees and place your feet down. And if you start to feel it in your right oblique, that's okay. My first time doing this pose, I didn't realize that I was feeling it so intensely in my obliques until the next day when my abdominals were really sore. So if you wake up tomorrow and your abdominals are really sore, this is probably why. We're here for a few more rounds of breath, so maybe you want to see and try if you can go a little deeper, or just stay as you are. Trying to relax through the lower back, or anywhere where you feel a lot of tension. See if you can just send your breath to that region. Just use the calming sensation of your breath to find some relaxation in this pose. Even if it is a very intense side stretch for you, use your breath to bring a little bit more ease into the body. And you do that just by focusing on the breath. Noticing the length of your inhales, noticing the length of your exhales. Let's take one more breath in. And as we exhale, let's bring our body back to neutral, nice and slow. I like to move my legs first and then move my upper body. And then I want you to find a nice long body stretch. Reach the fingers overhead, point through the toes, maybe circle through the ankles. Good, and then start to stamp the feet down, bending our knees. Bring the arms alongside your body. Good, and then what I want you to do is press your feet down, and if you want to look at the screen really fast, press your feet down, and you're going to lift up your hips as if you were doing bridge pose, but we're not going into bridge. So you just press the feet down, lift the hips, and think about lengthening your lower back. So send your sits bones towards your heels, and then see if you can place your lower back down onto your mat. You'll notice that you get a little more length through your lower back. So it's just a very minute adjustment. Good, and then once you do that, let's hug our knees into our chest. You can grab around your knees or your shins or whatever's available to you. Maybe circle through the ankles again or circle out the other way. Maybe you want to rock a little side to side and massage out your lower back. Or maybe you want to stir your knees around. So just finding what feels good for your body, learning to sort of move more intuitively with our bodies. Now, as a yoga teacher, I give you a guideline in class, but ultimately the practice is yours. So you just start to really experiment here on your mat. Find what feels good, find what doesn't feel good. Find where maybe you need to modify some days or where you feel like you can advance a little more. Just really listening to our bodies. Awesome. All right, let's bring our hands to our shins if we can. And we're just going to open the legs out to the side. So this is a modified happy baby here, where you just grab the shins. And you still want to think about exhaling all of the air out so you deflate the belly a little bit. Now if you're here and you think maybe you could go a little deeper, you're welcome to come into full happy baby. Just grabbing the pinky side edges of your feet here, very important, pinky side edges. And then again, you want to start to press your lower back down into your mat. What can help with that is think about pushing the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling. That's actually going to help you lengthen your lower back down into your mat. It also creates resistance in this pose because we pull down so much with our fingers, so it's important to also press up through the feet. And again, if you want to rock side to side, you can. If it feels good in your body to straighten one leg at a time or straddle the legs, go for it. Know that you can always come to that modified happy baby, or just hug the knees into the chest even. Good. On your next exhale, we'll hug our knees into our chest. You can either roll to your left side and press yourself up, or if it feels good in your body, cross at the ankles, grab underneath, grab your hamstrings, and then you just start to rock and roll forward and back along the spine. So you can take this variation or just roll to one side and you'll press yourself up, and we will all meet in tabletop when we're ready. So just find your way to tabletop, nice and easy here. Really stack your shoulders over your wrists, hips over knees. Now you can have your toes tucked or untucked. Whichever variation you choose, I just want you to press your feet down and then spread wide through your fingers here. Create that base for your hands. Awesome. We're just going to move into cat-cow. So let's inhale, start to arch through the spine, drop the belly, pull the chest forward and up for cow pose. And we're just going to hold in cow pose for a couple of breaths. Bring your low teeth to meet your top teeth. Feel a stretch along the front of your neck. Shoulders are still moving down away from the ears though. And you're still pulling your belly in even though we are dropping it down towards the mat. Good. Press those hands down. Big inhale. Exhale, cat pose, round through your spine, tuck the chin in towards your chest. Really press the ground away from you here. Hold and hover in your cat pose. Really lifting the belly button in, rounding through your upper spine, so round through your scapula, in between your shoulder blades. Good. And inhale, find your cow pose, looking up. Exhale, cat pose. Good. Just moving on your own, so follow your own breath, just these two postures. Try to move nice and slow though. If you can slow down your breath here, and really find the full extension of your breath, which is what we were doing on our backs, then you'll be able to find the full extension of your cat-cow pose. Meaning that you'll notice in each pose, the deeper and longer that you can breathe, the deeper that you can go in each pose. Good. And then finding our way back to a neutral spine. Awesome. What we're going to do is we're going to inhale, reach the left fingertips up, and exhale, thread your left arm underneath your right arm, just like this. You want to make sure your hips are still over the knees. Resting the left ear down. Maybe walk the right fingertips forward, tensing up on those finger pads. Maybe you want to take a half bind. Good, so if this is too much, what you can do is come to a child pose, toes together, knees wide, thread your left arm underneath right for a modified version, okay? reach the right arm back up if you're in this variation. And on your exhale, you'll start to unwind yourself. If you're in the tabletop variation, take an inhale to lift the left arm back up, and then exhale, find tabletop. We'll all meet back in our tabletop. Shoulders over the finger pads, hips over the knees. And this time we're going to take lateral movement. So we're just going to wag the head and the hips side to side. That's all we're doing. Try to keep some stability through the spine by pulling your lower belly or lower abdominal muscles in and up. Just moving side to side, just kind of resetting the spine with some lateral movement. Good, and then find your way back to neutral. And we're just going to switch sides. So if you're in the tabletop version, inhale, reach the right arm up. Exhale, thread your right arm underneath your left arm. Melt the right ear down. Stay here. Maybe walk the left fingertips forwards. Maybe take a half bind. Good. If you want to come into the child's pose variation, just find your way into child's pose. And you'll thread the right arm underneath your left for a modified version. And just breathe wherever you are. You can close your eyes. Taking any variations with the arms, that feels good. I tend to be pretty tight in my thoracic spine and my upper spine. So this pose always feels really nice for me. Hopefully it feels nice for you too. Good. On your next inhale, we'll reach the left arm up. Exhale, start to unwind yourself, coming back to tabletop. We'll take another inhale to reach the right arm up. Exhale, tabletop. All right, we're going to take the knees a little bit wider, just a little bit. We're going to take some hip circles. So it really doesn't matter which direction you start. You're just swinging your hips to one side, going all the way back towards a child's pose, all the way to the other side back to tabletop. So just really big hip circles here. If you want to find a little bit of an essence of cow pose when you come into that tabletop, you can lift the head up and the chest up a little bit if you wish. Otherwise, you just kind of keep a neutral spine. Just really thinking about getting into those outer hip points. Good. The next time you come to tabletop, just reverse the circles the other way. Good. And then start to find your way to tabletop. And we're going to tuck our toes, lift the knees, send our hips up and back, downward facing dog. Good. So in your down dog, for a few breaths here, if you wish to pedal through the feet, kind of stretch out the calves, you can. It always feels nice to kind of pedal through the feet. Or if you want to drop the heels side to side or shake the head yes and no, you can. Whatever you think might feel nice for your body. Just taking a few breaths to do so. And then when you're ready, find some stillness in your downward facing dog. Good. Now what I want you to do, take a quick look at your hands. Make sure you're spreading wide through your fingers. Make sure that your index fingers are pointing directly forward. And then imagine that you're trying to open up 2 pickle jars with your hands. Okay, that's the energetics of this down dog, trying to open up those pickle jars. And then there's a very slight bend in your elbows here. You don't want to lock the elbows. You can bend your knees here and feel your chest press towards your thighs. And then imagine you have 2 strings attached to your sits bones, and they're pulling your sits bones up to the ceiling. You'll notice a little bit more length in your back. Once you feel that length, you're welcome to straighten the legs if you wish, but you can always keep them bent too. Good, and just hold and breathe here. Good, we're going to take a big inhale through the nose. And on your exhale, I want you to stick your tongue out and take a lion's breath. Let's do that one more time. Inhale through the nose, fill up your lungs. Exhale, lion's breath. Really let it go. Nice. Very slowly here, baby steps. Start to walk your feet towards your hands. You'll come into a forward fold at the top of your mat with your feet hips width distance or a little bit wider. And bend your knees here. Even if you're really flexible in your hamstrings, bend your knees here. Maybe you want to grab opposite elbows and take a bit of a ragdoll position. Maybe you want to try to kind of just hug your arms around the backs of your knees or the backs of your calves. Whatever you decide to do, just keep your knees bent a little bit and think about shifting the weight in towards your toes. Now, if you have blocks, you can always place your hands onto 2 blocks here to give you a little extra support. And then wherever you are, just start to shake your head no. Nice and easy. And then nod your head yes. And then shake your head no. And nod your head yes. Good. Place our hands to our shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. Strong belly, long spine. Exhale, fold. Bend your knees, slowly roll up all the way through your spine. Once you're standing, roll your shoulders up and down your back. Tadasana, mountain pose. Big breath in. Big breath out. We're just going to take a little bit of a half sun A variation. Inhale, reach the arms up. You can bring the palms together and look in between the thumbs if you wish. Exhale, micro bend your knees as you fold all the way over your legs. Hands to shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let go of your head. Let the neck and head go. Bend your knees. Inhale, roll up all the way through your spine. Exhale, roll the shoulders up and down your back, Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, micro bend your knees as you fold over your legs. Hands to shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold, release the head and the neck. Inhale, slowly roll up through the spine. Exhale, roll the shoulders up and down your back, Tadasana. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana, sweep the arms up. Exhale, micro bend your knees and fold over your legs. Hands to shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Let's take one more round. Inhale, slowly roll up through the spine, micro bend those knees. Exhale, roll the shoulders up and down your back, Tadasana. Inhale, sweep the arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, micro bend your knees and fold over your legs. Inhale, lift up halfway, strong belly, long spine. And exhale, fold. Amazing. Awesome. Hanging over our legs here. If you have 2 blocks, you're going to grab your blocks. Okay, now what you're going to do, look closely, you're just going to step your left foot back just a little bit so you can set the blocks on the inside of your right foot. Blocks can be on the high setting, low setting, or medium setting. Low setting, yeah, medium setting. All right, once you find a setting that works for you, you're going to step the left foot back even more and then lower the left knee. You're in your lizard pose. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. You could always use books if you want. You can stack some books on top of each other. Good, so we're just going to be here in our lizard pose. We're focusing more on the stretch on the left quadricep, maybe even into the left hip a little bit. So we're going to stay up on our palms or up on the blocks. So if you want to move the blocks up to the high setting, that might be a little more comfortable. What I want you to focus on here is your shoulders. Just roll your shoulders up and down your back, just like you did in Tadasana. Then I want you to think heart forward, heart out. Expand your heart energy out. That's all you're doing here. Keep that back knee on the ground unless you really want to lift it up and that feels good for you and you're a little more advanced, then you can go for it. When I'm holding this pose, I personally like to have my left knee down. And you want to look down, just make sure that your right knee is over the right ankle. And adjust as you need to. Now you're still lifting up your lower belly. You're not just letting, everything hang out. You're still engaging your breath. And by engaging the breath, you'll be able to engage your abdominal muscles. Good. I'm just starting to notice that, maybe, hopefully, the intensity that you might be feeling in the left hip or left quad might start to be decreasing. The longer that you hold here and the longer that you're able to support yourself here with blocks or books, that intensity starts to decrease a little bit. Good. Very carefully start to walk the blocks forward just about an inch, not very far at all. Tuck those back toes under, lift the back left knee, and see if you can step your left foot outside of those blocks. So the blocks are on the insides of your feet. And we're just going to switch sides. So the blocks are already in between our feet. We have a nice wide stance. All we're going to do is step the right foot all the way back and then lower that right knee, finding your lizard lunge. Okay, then find a position with the blocks that feels nice for you. And remember, shoulders roll down the back so you can expand across your collarbones more. And open up through the heart center. You feel the crown of your head reaching up towards the ceiling as your chin gently tucks down towards the chin just a little bit. Just like we did at the very beginning when we were in that Shavasana. And we felt our chest kind of puff up a little bit and the chin tuck down. That's what you're doing here. But still engaging the breath, engaging the abdominal muscles. Good. You can close the eyes if you wish. And just noticing the sensations that are coming and going throughout the body. If you are interested interested in getting any blocks or any yoga props, and if you don't have any and you would like some, I do have a pretty groovy discount code that you can use. And it's always linked at the bottom of the descriptions of these videos on our pages, on my pages. So just be sure to check out those descriptions underneath the videos and you'll find the discount code. You can get any yoga blocks, blankets, bolsters, straps, anything. Good, just do a couple more breaths, just checking in with our alignment here. Checking in with the shoulders. Good, big inhale. One more exhale. Good. Start to tuck those back toes under. Lift the back right knee, and you'll step the right foot outside of those blocks, folding over your legs. You're in a bit of a wide stance, so your feet are kind of on the edges of your mat. Bend your knees if you need to. You can always place your hands or forearms down onto the blocks. Good. Awesome. So we're going to move into downward facing dog. So remove the blocks, or I will give you the option to keep the blocks. They can be on the medium setting or the low setting as you step back to down dog. This just helps to give you a little bit of lift in down dog. Your hands are still, shoulders width distance, so widen the blocks as you need. All right, we're going to move into pigeon pose. If pigeon pose doesn't work for your body, come onto your back and take thread the needle. You're moving into pigeon pose. We're going to bring the right knee towards the right wrist or that right block. Set the shin down. Start to scoot and wiggle your left leg back a little bit. Your right foot is going to be kind of touching your left hip, okay? Now keep the blocks here, keep the hands on your blocks. They can be in front of you or kind of like out to the side. If you would like to scoot a block or a pillow or a blanket underneath your right hip, sometimes that can help to elevate yourself a little bit here. So you can just slide a prop underneath that right hip. And as always, come onto your back and take thread the needle if you'd rather. Good, so we're just gonna be here with an upright spine. Feeling our lower belly pull in and up. You can look over your right shoulder and just make sure you can see your left leg or your left foot. Good. Now you can stay upright here, or maybe you want to start to walk the hands or the blocks out a little bit. You can come down to your forearms. You can reach your arms all the way forward, come into that deep hip stretch if you'd like. Just moving into our outer hip stretch. Keep the breath full, keep the breath long. Go ahead and start to deepen the breath if you've lost it a little bit. And the next time you inhale, we'll come back up to our hands if we're not there already. We're just going to make our way back into downward facing dog. So sometimes it can be nice to kind of transition to tabletop first and then tuck the toes and find downward facing dog. If you wish to bring that right leg up and shake it out in a three-legged dog, you can. Totally optional. When you are ready, on an exhale, bring your left knee towards your left wrist or the left block. Set the left shin down and start to wiggle that right leg back. Your left foot should be near your, or might be near your right hip, right outer hip. As always, placing a prop underneath your left hip just to kind of elevate yourself a little bit can be helpful. We're going to start on our hands or on our blocks. Make sure you could see your right leg if you were to look over your left shoulder. Just take a few breaths here with a nice tall spine. And if pigeon doesn't work, come onto your back again, thread the needle. And then maybe you want to start to walk yourself a little more forward. You can come down to the forearms. You can walk yourself all the way forward if you wish. And if you are on your forearms, I just want you to make sure that you're not just kind of sinking down into the shoulder socket. So really press your forearms down so you can drop the shoulders down your back. Keep lifting the lower belly. And the lower belly will lift naturally when we can find the full extension of our exhale. So just like we practiced on our backs. Full inhales, fill up the belly, fill up the lungs, and then as we exhale, you squeeze the air out of your belly, and your abdominals will engage naturally. We'll be here for a few breaths, so close the eyes, keep the breath moving. A lot of times when we're in a very deep hip stretch, sometimes our thoughts can kind of start to circle back into our consciousness and start to just kind of think about a lot of things, and that's okay. You know, it's okay if our thoughts come up. It's perfectly okay. And once we can realize and understand that it's okay for that to happen, then that's where you actually get to choose. You get to choose if you want to think about it. You get to choose if you don't want to think about it. And it's really just a choice. So the thoughts will rise and flow very naturally through the body. That's what the thinking mind was designed to do. And once you understand that, like I said, it's just a choice. You can choose to think about stuff, you can choose to feel things, or you can just simply choose to just be very, very present with your breath and your body. It's just a choice. And really, there's not a right or wrong choice. It's just an observation that you get to make about yourself. The next time that you inhale, start to come back up to your hands if you're not already. Transitioning to our downward facing dog. And just like on the first side, sometimes it might be easier to transition to tabletop first and then find downward facing dog. Maybe shake out that left leg if that feels good for you. And then finding your down dog either on the blocks or off the blocks. And just take a big inhale. Sigh it out of your mouth. We're going to set the knees down. Sit back on the heels. We're going to make our way to a nice seat with the legs out in front of us. We're going to move into Paschimottanasana. So, a couple of things. You can sit onto a block. You can sit on a pillow, a few blankets. And that just helps to elevate your hips here, especially if you're tight in your lower back or hamstrings. You can also slide a bolster or pillow underneath your knees. You can also take a strap or a belt or a t-shirt or towel or something around the soles of your feet and grab the ends of that strap. Okay, that's just going to help you find more length here. Or if you're pretty flexible through the hamstrings, you can take a block. Make sure you can feel your sits bones underneath you. We're all going to flex our feet no matter where we are. You can take this block, inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, start to fold over those legs. You take the block to the soles of your feet and you're grabbing the edges of the block. Good. Now wherever you are, we're going to start with a long spine here. So we're not going to round over and hunch over. So take the props as you need them. I gave you plenty of options and modifications. Grab anything that you need to help you find a long spine. And maybe that means you just need to kind of sit up in staff pose with the arms alongside you. That's perfectly fine. Okay? If you're in this variation with me or any variation, inhale, reach the heart towards your toes, and then exhale, see if you can fold a little deeper. Inhale, reach the heart towards your toes. Exhale, hinge a little deeper. Inhale, heart to toes. And exhale, fold a little deeper. And now, if you wish, you can round over. Just breathing into your lower back, breathing into the backs of the legs. And then slowly inhale, start to roll up through the spine. Removing any props if you have them. Bend your knees, place your feet down, just scoot yourself a little more forward. We're going to do a nice, slow and controlled roll down. So you can do this by just grabbing the hamstrings nice and tall through the spine, or reach the arms forward. Now we want to move through every single vertebrae in our spine. So move slowly here. Think about creating a tilt in your pelvis so you can really pull that belly in as you roll through every single vertebrae. When you get to a position that might feel a little more challenging, just pause and breathe. You can always grab the legs. And when you're ready, you'll continue rolling all the way down, nice and slow and controlled. Your abdominals might start to shake a little bit. That's okay. And you'll meet all the way down, back in Shavasana. Legs wide, feet flop out, arms out, palms up. Easy Shavasana here. If there is a pose that's calling to you, and you really feel the need to do it, maybe happy baby or twist, you're more than welcome to take that. And you'll just find your way into Shavasana. I'll guide you out of Shavasana when it's ready, when it's time. And in your Shavasana, just do a mental body scan. Scan from head to toes, anywhere that there still seems to be tension in your body. Just see if you can relax it. And if you can't relax it, maybe just send your breath to it. Sometimes we have to let our body know that it's okay to relax. We're safe, we're supported. It's okay. If you would like to rest here longer in your Shavasana, you're more than welcome to stay. If it's time to come back, first, just start to deepen the breath. And then wiggle your toes, wiggle the fingers, circle through the wrists or the ankles. Just very softly starting to awaken your body. Just finding any natural movement here to help you awaken your physical body. And when you feel ready, you can reach your arms overhead for a long body stretch. And then bend your knees, place your feet down. And I want you to breathe through your nostrils. So breathe through your nose. If your right nostril is more open, roll to the right side in fetal pose. If your left nostril is more open, roll to the left side in fetal pose. There's no right or wrong here, just depending on which side of the body and which side of our nose is a little more open. And find your way into fetal pose. And then when you're ready, placing your top hand down and gently press yourself up to a comfortable seated posture. You're welcome to sit onto any props that you may have, blankets, pillows, blocks, books. And just find a nice comfortable seat here. Resting your hands onto your lap. Your palms can be face down or face up. If they are face up, maybe take chin mudra. Just bring your index finger and thumb to touch. And just notice the space that's been created through the body, the mind, the breath, and your spirit. Just notice any tingling sensations, any subtle vibrations, or any lightness that you might feel running through you. And just observe this vibrant space that you've created within you. And may you take this vibrant energy with you throughout the rest of your day or night or week. Let's bring our hands together to heart center. Let's take a big breath in and a big breath out. Closing with a mantra, Loka samasta sukhi no bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be happy and free, and may my thoughts, words, and actions contribute to those being happy and free. Namaste. Thank you so much for practicing with me. I hope that this was a helpful practice for you. As always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please feel free to send me an email, chastitynomadicrabbit@gmail.com, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. You can also reach me on social media at superchast with 2 underscores. All right, my friends, choose kindness and stay groovy. Namaste.